Hi, I'm Jeff Franke. I'm the editorial director of Manufacturing.NET. I'm joined with Bill Seaton. Bill's our vice president of global engineering and operational excellence for Sigma-Aldrich. Thanks so much for joining us today, Bill.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. Bill, why don't you talk to us a little bit just about Sigma-Aldrich and what you do there?
Sure, thank you very much. So Sigma-Aldrich is a public company. It's $2.9 billion in revenue. It has manufacturing facilities in about 40 countries. We have about 9,000 employees. Sigma-Aldrich has just recently been acquired by Merck, Darmstadt. So there'll be a lot of change at Sigma-Aldrich in the next coming years. What I do at Sigma-Aldrich is, as you said, I'm Vice President of Global Engineering. And what that means is myself and my team, we manage major capital projects around the world. Now, what global means is that the sun never sets. So we have projects that go on in China, in Singapore, in Europe, and North America and South America. So a lot of work and a lot of time to manage the global aspect of global engineering. The other part is operational excellence, and this is a really fun part of my job. And it's because operational excellence means that you solve problems. And problems always bother me, so I'm very motivated to solve them. And so we have problems that we want to solve, and with each one of those problems, after you've solved it, you feel much better because you go from a frustrated state to where things just click and they're much improved. And the OpEx part of my job is also global. So we have employees around the world working on problems not only in our plants, but in our offices.
Interesting. So looking at things from a global perspective, a lot of folks who come to Manufacturing.NET are in similar situations. What are some of maybe the biggest challenges that you're dealing with right now, or things that you're working to improve upon?
So the biggest challenge, and not to sound condescending because I don't mean that in any way, but it's to get everyone to believe in operational excellence, to get everyone to hate waste. So we have 8 forms of waste, and once you start to learn those 8 forms of waste, you start to see them. With something I say all the time is I see them when I'm at the grocery store. I go to the grocery store with my wife, I stand in line, and immediately I start tracking how long it takes one line versus another line. And then I always want to be in the quicker line. So that's what I do. I go to the quicker line and then I start studying how they're processing. Well, I take that same mindset to our manufacturing sites. And so we have to get every single employee to hate waste. Once that happens, we have 9,000 people working on eliminating waste. And the opportunity will always be there until we're perfect. And we'll never be perfect, so there's always room for work there.
You know, we talk to a lot of folks about lean operations and the Toyota production systems and things like that. It's easy to get buy-in, it seems, either from the higher level or the folks on the plant floor, but getting them both to share that common vision can be very challenging. What have been some of your experiences in trying to get everybody to really buy in?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. So what's happened with me is that somewhere about 15 years ago, I moved from an engineer to management to sales. Okay. Yeah, and that sales, I spend about 6 hours of my day selling what I do to everyone. And I don't just sell it to my employees. Now, my employees, since they report into me, they're obligated to do what I request. But once I convince them and sell them to them what we're doing is the best way and the right way, then they buy it and then they sell, right? So you have to sell downward, and then I have to sell to my peers, and then I also have to sell upward, because by selling upward, convincing upward, and keep in mind that not, just as I just said a second ago, not everyone understands what we want to do with operational excellence. So by selling upward, I can get much more support and a broader support. And the more the people upward sell operational excellence, the more easy my job becomes.
Sure. Getting allies on your side and sort of spreading
Absolutely.
The message.
Yeah.
So today we're here at the American Manufacturing Summit. What have been some of the big takeaways that you've garnered from being here?
Yeah, the biggest takeaway has been the companies that I've seen, and very good companies, very strong companies, and their involvement in operational excellence. I'm very impressed with the language that they're speaking. So again, I don't mean to sound condescending. That's not what I'm trying to do at all. I've been speaking operational excellence, lean manufacturing, Six Sigma for over 15 years. And I'm in a room filled with people that when I say DMAIC, they immediately know what I'm talking about. When I say I'm walking the Gemba, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And not only do they know exactly what I'm talking about, they provide back to me stories of their own that now I'm absorbing, and I'm going to use those stories when I go back to my office.
Sure. I think that's interesting. I think in manufacturing, sometimes we feel like we're preaching to the choir when we share some of these stories, but being able to extract some of those best practices is huge. Yeah. And looking at American manufacturing right now and some of the best practices that could be more readily absorbed, what do you feel are some of the bigger challenges that we're facing, and maybe some of the solutions that you've seen put in place?
Yeah, so what I think we're about to encounter, now there's a lot of categories that I could touch on right now, but I'll just give you a personal experience. What we're about to encounter is a new logistics world. And let me tell you what I mean by that. So about 4 months ago, I went to a major retailer. I was looking for a printer cartridge. I picked up the printer cartridge, I barcoded it, and up on my device came another print cartridge, just like the one I was holding in my hand, that was $10 cheaper. And the only drawback was that it would take a day for it to be delivered to my home. And for $10, I could wait a day. Yeah. So I hit buy. And the problem with this for the retailer is I went to that store expecting to spend $100 to $200 on miscellaneous items. What they got out of me that day was zero. And so because while I was standing there with the print cartridge in my hand, I thought, I also need some cables. So I'm going to walk over to the cables, and while I was in the cables, I pulled out my smart device, I started wanding the cables, and I found great prices online as well. And so I hit buy, and to the next product I went, I hit buy. I walked out of the store, and this major retailer now lost $200 of their revenue, of my cash. The store that I was shopping with online gained $200. Now, I'm not that smart, so wait till the smart people figure this out. Wait till the young people coming out of college and the new generation start to figure out what I just did. So here it is, 2015. What will 2025 bring us? Yeah. So that's the biggest challenge that I see. Right now, I'm talking about a retail store and a printer cartridge, but in the future, it might be cars, it might be products that go in cars, it might be chemicals. And I can tell you right now, the store I was shopping on does sell chemicals. Wow. So Sigma-Aldrich, beware. Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's almost working backwards. I think a lot of models look at production and cost and getting it to the customer that way. It's almost working backwards. It's looking at the supply chain and logistics, like you mentioned, and then working backwards to see how you can be most effective in hitting the end user. So,
yeah, exactly.
Very interesting challenge. You bring about using a mobile device. Obviously, that's an interesting technology for manufacturing. Kind of bleeds into the whole Internet of Things topic as well. But when you look at U.S. manufacturing and you think of one thing, maybe either from an operational excellence or procedural perspective or new technologies, if you could give U.S. manufacturing one thing, what would it be?
Well, I think it just would boil down to one word, and that word would be humility. Yeah. So those who don't pay attention to history are destined to repeat history. Yeah. So we, just humans in general, leaders in general, fail to think that they can be overtaken. And so as time goes and technology changes quicker and quicker, the life cycle for companies will probably become less. So now with the world getting smaller and having incredible global competition, If U.S. manufacturers don't become humble and think that they can be beat every day, they'll ignore the competition because the competition is no longer next door. It's around the world. And it's smaller competitors as well.
Excellent. Excellent points. I want to thank Bill again for joining us. Thanks so much.
My pleasure, Jeff.